Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Struggling Survival server. Now, today's gonna be a little different. I have a plan, but before we get into that, I need to take care of something. So some of you may know, I did a little bit of terraforming recently, and as you can imagine, it really did a number on my tools here. Fortunately, like a while ago, Max found a double spawner and made a mob grinder out of it. Awesome. Great. Unfortunately, I had a little accident while using it. Now, you may have some questions, like, when did this happen? During the terraforming episode. Why did this happen? We'll get to that. Why weren't you wearing clothes? Okay, look, see, well, back in episode, 3, I've actually managed to get a full set of diamond armor from the trial chamber, and I want that to be my main set of armor. I just kind of haven't gotten around to, enchanting it. So after the nearly 200 or so hours I've spent on here, it's gotten a little bit beat up. So to make sure my armor didn't explode, I decided to take it off because some of these creatures have thorns and stuff, and the skeletons can sometimes shoot you. So I just took it off. The armor's the next episode problem. However, when I was getting the flashback footage for that clip, I decided to kind of snoop around and see where the lads came from. So we're gonna go deal with that real quick. Let's see. So it came from down here. We'll shield up because, again, my boots aren't looking so hot. I did actually have to make an extra chest plate. I could probably just block. I'm gonna block that up, but this here. Not only did it lead to my untimely demise, it's affecting the efficiency of our spawners, and we just really cannot have that. All we had to do. Oh, actually, it's good to know there's some tough here. We're running kind of low. Ooh, there's a lot of tough here. I'm gonna get lost. Alright, that's there. I'm gonna run out of torches. Oh, I'm gonna be back here for that. I'm gonna be back here for that. Oh my gosh. Okay, actually, I needed some of that. Where is that? Oh, hello. You just leave my boots alone. We need the string. I need the durability on my axe. Okay. I'm hoping that lights... Okay, I was hoping there was going to be some lava and I wouldn't have to place any more torches, but that doesn't seem to be the case. No. No, no. I'm not doing this in a dignified way. Perfect. Alright. Now we're going to use this for a surprise activity later. Saves me some time. Cool. I think we came from up there. That doesn't seem spawn-proof. And then I'm also gonna... Perfect. Much better. I don't want to know what's down there. My god. Oh, actually. We're running low. Gotta take all the stuff we can get. Oh, it's raining. Lovely. This episode is going to be a little different. The idea is to have something similar to episode 7, but while that one is like a little time capsule of my building process, the guy who's over there, I want this one to be a little time capsule for my video making and editing process. We're getting meta in this one. Now, obviously, I'm not a professional, and I haven't been doing this for very long at all. But if I can manage my goal of an episode a week for the year, I think it'll be really interesting to look back on this and see how things have changed. So I want to make this episode now while I'm still like figuring everything out, and so I can capture, my beginner's thought process. And then I think coming back to this, looking back in the future, it'll be a really cool tool for me to just like see how far I've grown. So that's the plan. And then, to get some nice B-roll, I have a few just miscellaneous tasks I need to do. So I'll just be doing those in the background, cleaning up around the base. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so this seems like a good time as any to talk about, episode planning. Now, this is actually like the most planned out episode I've made. I actually have like a little script outline thing on my second monitor here. Speaking, especially just like kind of in the moment, isn't my strong suit, as you've probably seen in some of the previous episodes. I kind of have a tendency to like ramble, my train of thought can get derailed very easily. So I do want to experiment with having like this outline document next to me to kind of just help structure my thoughts, the things I say, and also like structure the videos and actually have like what I'm talking about flow into each other nicer, which I think could just make for a better viewing experience. So if you notice any like changes with that sort of thing, let me know what you think. This is actually where your feedback, dear viewer, yes, you, is really, really important. It's like with everything I'm talking about in this video, let me know what you think, you know, what you like, what you don't like, and, you know, I'm gonna listen to that feedback and, you know, incorporate it into these videos. Because I wanna get better at this. That's my little goal. The other nice thing about, you know, having an outline is I think it's gonna let me do more interesting things with an episode. So, for example, you know, with the start of this episode, I'm doing a lot more. I want to try and get more like interesting shots with stuff like the flashback mod, and actually like having an outline and planning, having or like a bit of a plan for what I want to do ahead of time is gonna be really useful for like setting up shots, and if I need to do like multiple takes of something to get like a good sequence, I'll have that plan ahead of time so I can actually know what I'm doing. And that's all about, you know, making the most engaging video possible. Right now I'd say I kind of have like two quote-unquote styles of video in my head. It's like a casual video and a cinematic video. Starting off with like the casual videos, I think the best example of that is, I believe, episode 7, where we made this guy. For those videos, it's me like mainly just capturing gameplay and with like trying to capture a vibe of like, you know, I'm playing Minecraft with you on your second monitor. Very like chill, showing you like how I'm progressing through the game, trying to like bring you along for the ride is the vibe with the casual videos. And I think episode 7 encapsulates that pretty perfectly. Like that episode was not planned. I just one day I was just there and I said, we're gonna build this and you're coming along with me. So I think those are nice. It's definitely, you get to see my thought process on full display in those. And I think there's something nice about that vibe of, you know, playing Minecraft alongside your video, or like alongside the video. But the one downside that I've noticed is that, you know, when I'm doing like these casual videos or the more casual sequences, they tend to be quite long, which is, I feel, a big part of, or a big reason behind the monster episode lengths I've been putting out recently. So while it is fun, I do want to try messing around with more of this cinematic style, which I haven't done a whole bunch, or I haven't done like a whole episode in this style. If everything goes according to plan, it should be this one. So we'll see how that goes. The closest other thing, like the closest cinematic style thing that I've done would be, you know, some of the big sweeping camera shots through the landscape with, say, the flashback or replay mod. I had a bunch of sequences like this in the last episode, the terraforming episode. The one that I'm really happy with is like the before and after of all the terraforming at the end of that episode. I also had a little kind of cutaway shot during an interaction with Max, showing kind of what he was up to at the bottom of the pit, somewhere down there. And that's something I want to do more of. I really like that because, you know, with this more cinematic thing, doing wider, fancier camera shots, I can do cutaways, kind of show you things that I don't necessarily see, and again, just give you a better viewing experience. And then plus, those are just like more interesting and fun to edit too, if you're like trying to line up all these shots. I'll get into that sort of thing later, but it's fun. Ooh, a little lag spike. So, speaking of flashback, I guess I'll explain what that is a little bit if you don't know. The flashback is it's a mod very similar to the replay mod, and what these do is they let you effectively get like they record the area around you, and then you can get a little spectator view of like everything that you've recorded after the fact, and then you can position the camera around in space, and it lets you get like very cool sweeping camera shots or like other shots you can't really get normally through just first person recording or, you know, F5. And it really opens the door for a lot of cool cinematic things, you know, videos, what have you. It's just really, really cool. And so like flashback, comparing the two, replay is the classic one. I think has a lot of backwards compatibility with older versions, but flashback is so much more user-friendly. It's made by the same people who made Axiom, and if that's like little side tangent, that's a wonderful, wonderful building tool. It's kind of a world edit alternative. You can use, I think the best option is to use both, but it really lets you like build in creative much faster, and you like everything like all these buildings I designed like using Axiom and made the building process so much faster. It's super cool. If you're at all like interested in building and you haven't heard of it, I would highly recommend checking it out. It's super user friendly. There's a lot of really powerful features in it, and one of the coolest things is like it feels like an actual, you know, application, but it's a mod inside of the game, and like it's crazy, which I think is a huge part of what makes it user friendly. And flashback has that as well. So if you have like, you know, your timeline, you have like file menus you can drop down, super easy to use, and it has, I think I found that it runs a lot faster than replay, and it lets me like render shots. Like replay, to do like a big sweeping shot through this area, the replay mod would take like an hour or two to render. Flashback can do it in under 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. So I stick with flashback because that lets me, I can do more shots in a video with time constraints and everything. And like in all my time using flashback, you know, 2 months, I've really only encountered like 2 issues. One of them is a more recent one. So now that this is its own dedicated server, I use the Bobby mod to see chunks that are far away. But it says it should be compatible with Bobby, but I've run into an issue where it won't render a cached chunk if I haven't like loaded it. So for example, those trees over there, I can see them here, first person single player. But if I were to go into if I were to go into flashback, you wouldn't be able to see that until I took a boat over there and loaded it this session where I had the flashback going. So that's, you know, a little slight annoyance. This means like I had to render everything around me to get a really cool sweeping shot where you can see the terrain around. But once I have an elytra, that'll probably be a non-issue. I can just, if I know I want to do a sweeping shot, I can just fly around the area, and then that solves that. The other issue, a bit more problematic, we'll say, is a very strange lag issue, where I first encountered it doing, I don't remember what episode it was. It was the Building Buildings was the name. It's where we built the barn, where I did the green screen part during the time lapse. And so I rendered the video, and then my Minecraft client, like the flashback client, slowed to a crawl. It was basically unusable. I would like move my mouse over like a menu, a file bar at the top, and it takes like 10-20 seconds to actually like highlight and to indicate that your mouse is hovering over it. Insane lag. But when I closed the flashback and re-entered it, the lag was gone. And I've been experiencing that issue pretty consistently, even through like updating from like the 1.21 version to the 1.21. Sorry, these versions are out of control. 1.21.1 version to 1.21.3, the issue still, persisted. And I found a very weird workaround for it, where it doesn't happen if Minecraft is your active window when it finishes rendering. I don't know why that fixes it, but that makes it so that I can actually like render out multiple clips in a sequence without having to slowly close and reopen the flashback file. So, and I don't know if that's been fixed in the most recent version, 1.21.4, but I hope it has. But if it hasn't, that's the workaround that I've been using. So if that's helpful to anybody, there you go. But I mean, that's a minor inconvenience that I'm sure will be fixed in the future, and like all of the things that flashback enables you to do make it all worth it. Now, that's for like the kind of fancy schmancy post gameplay session shots. Great for like getting b-roll or like doing transition scenes or sick cutaways. But to actually record classic Minecraft first-person gameplay, I've been using OBS. Now OBS is very intimidating. There's like all like the codecs and settings and stuff. I still do not fully understand all of that. I'm still learning. There's still a lot I gotta figure out. I actually, in the earlier episodes, I know my OBS settings weren't quite right, and so there was like these weird little like red pixels, especially in like darker areas. Like you could see them on like the iron pickaxe texture in my hotbar. I think they're gone now. I don't know why. I did do a graphics driver update in there at one point, so I don't know if that fixed it. I'm still learning. So something else I want to set up in the future is something called a replay buffer. And what that does is it like continuously records the past 4 minutes of gameplay. And then as soon as you click the record button, the recording starts 4 minutes in the past. So if you're like in the middle of an interaction, you can still catch it and record it without having to, restart. So for an example, when we made our little netherite bet, we did that, off camera. And then to actually put it into the video, I clicked record and it's like, okay, let's repeat everything we just said. So that it makes like the things that you say, the interactions feel a bit less organic and less natural. So setting up the replay buffer, like that's an insanely cool feature, and I think it'll enable like more organic interactions in the future, which is nice. Something I'm looking forward to. I think I've really only scratched the surface of what you can do with OBS. There's still a lot I gotta learn, and like right now what I'm doing is the bare minimum of capture this game in first person in a bot that doesn't look stinky garbo. Yeah, it's so intimidating. But again, that's just something that's going to take some practice to actually learn. Finally, there's the big part of video making, editing. So I do all of my editing in Adobe Premiere, since that's what I know and have access to. Another good option if you're looking for recording software is DaVinci Resolve. That one's open source and free, which is cool. But I've been editing on and off as a hobby for the past like 6 years, which is a little horrifying to actually like stop and think about. But that was all done in Premiere, so that's kind of what I know and I'm used to. I know the shortcuts. I'm very familiar with the effects, the workspaces, that sort of thing. My experience has been like my quote-unquote training has been 3 classes over the course of high school and college, so I am not a professional editor. I've just taken these 3 classes and then made a bunch of really, really silly little memes to send to my friends. I've done a handful of like actual more filmy things, but those are a little few and far between. And so another part of why I started this channel is that I actually want to improve my editing skills, and especially with the flashback mod, this is a great way for me to effectively generate footage, especially footage with interesting cinematography to then play around with and edit and try and make hopefully engaging videos for people to watch and enjoy. Plus, for these videos, I don't actually have to worry about things like color correction or lighting, because, I'm recording this straight off my computer. These are the colors of Minecraft. I don't need to do any Premiere work to make them look quote-unquote real. And this lets me focus on, like, other aspects of editing that I find pretty interesting, like arranging clips, timing, like where you're going to put a cut. There's, like, where you put a cut has a huge effect on things, like, it affects the punchiness of a joke. If you put a cut like a second too late, a joke will land differently. It's that sort of thing I find really, really interesting. And since I don't have to worry about extra stuff like color correction and lighting, which are very complicated and time intensive to like set up and do, I can focus a lot more on honing, arranging the clips, cutting them, maintaining a flow between clips, that sort of thing. And then, say a project comes along down the line where I do have to do, color correction, lighting, all that extra stuff that you have to do with, footage that you shoot of the real world. Hopefully, making these videos will have made me a lot more comfortable doing the more cut, arrange type stuff, so then I can focus a lot more of my energy onto honing the color correction and the lighting when those opportunities arise. Which, that sounds really awesome to me. Now I want to talk a bit more about the technical details of, my process. And again, I do this as a hobby. I've taken 3 classes. High school, college. I'm not a professional. My workflow is not necessarily the gold standard. It works for me, a hobbyist who is not a real professional editor. There are definitely probably better ways to do what I do or what I want to do, and hopefully if I do a video a week for a year, I will eventually stumble upon them. So that being said, let's get into my process a little bit. One of the biggest things that I've done to make my life so much easier is actually how I set up OBS. So right now I record my audio on 3 different tracks. So I have my game audio on track 3, so that's all these Minecraft sounds, like the blocks breaking. Then I have me, my beautiful voice coming straight through my microphone sitting on my desk. That's on track 2. And then track 1 is Discord. And so then in Premiere, you can kind of see, Premiere lets you see all these different audio tracks, and I can adjust their volumes independently. I did have a mild scare when I set this up. I, opened the video on Windows Media Player and just like didn't hear my voice. But it turns out that that video watching program doesn't support multi-track audio, which is cool, but it worked in Premiere just fine. So that has been a huge help. Episodes 1 and 2 were edited without that setup, and like managing all the sounds and everything was kind of a pain. But now I can actually like adjust all the volumes individually. So much better. Right now I try to keep all like my voices around negative 15 to 18 decibels, which you can kind of see on this little meter down there. That should be close enough to the right direction. And then I'll also go through and adjust the gain on certain sections, like lowering the volume of a shout, or, you know, boosting the volume if my cat has decided to sit between my face and the microphone, just to give you, you know, a better listening experience. And something else I do is I slap a parametric equalizer on all of like my voice audio, which effectively just, you know, cuts out or like mutes certain frequencies. It's really great for cutting out like static and some like light background noise. Can you tell that audio editing is something that I'm working on? So no, actually all of those changes, like the gain adjustment and the parametric equalizer, I also have to resize my footage since I do record everything in 4K. All of those adjustments need to be made on every single clip that I bring into Premiere. And sometimes I don't think ahead and I will, you know, have like an hour-long clip that I cut up into, that I do the cutting on first, so I have it sliced up into like, you know, maybe 10 different smaller clips. And then I have to go through and do all of those changes to each of those, since I don't want to recut everything, which can get a little time consuming, which is another reason as to why I kind of want to slow down on making those like really long episodes, because just like getting all the footage prepared and arranged on the timeline is super time consuming. For example, like the terraforming episode, it took me just 8 straight hours of sitting down and just being in Premiere to get all of the footage, you know, prepared and then arranged. So I had everything kind of cut together how I wanted it, and I had all the audio stuff done. That took 8 hours, so that doesn't include any of the music. I didn't do any of the flashback, like rendering or, you know, cutting those together. So that everything else, like actually polishing that up and getting it exported, took another 2 days. Super time consuming. And, you know, hopefully I'm gonna get faster at that as I go and as I learn. But oh boy, those episodes. And I guess the last of the little technical Premiere bits is I'm trying to mess around more with, you know, transitions between clips. Back when I started it, my go-to was basically just slap a cross dissolve on everything. I've been told to maybe not do that, and so I've been messing around with, you know, a couple other transition types. You know, in these episodes, I'm a huge fan of the dip to black. I use that a lot, especially when I'm doing like a dramatic change between two scenes. Like if I were to say go from, you know, finish up talking here and then appear in a completely different location, like say the storage room. That's a pretty good use for the dip to black. And then I've also been messing around with a lot more hard cuts, especially when I, you know, do my favorite activity of jumping off of a cliff and taking fall damage. I try to cut around like the time right around like the instant where you hear like the damage tick. That's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that. Yeah, again, where you place your cuts has kind of a shocking amount of impact on things, especially like where you put your cut really affects how funny a clip can be. Yeah, hard cuts have been really fun to play around with. Another thing that I want to work on, it's less video specific and more just like a general skill that I want to improve on in and outside of video making, is time management. I'm not great at it. And honestly, like the biggest thing I'm doing to help with that is really try and get that video out every week. Having to hit that goal, manage, my playing, my planning, that sort of thing. I think that's going to be really, really helpful for me. But yeah, honestly, this is probably like part of why I love this game, right? Like, I enjoy building in it, but then I can also use it as kind of a medium to improve my video editing. Honestly, like, I view this entire game as a medium that lets you practice so many different forms of creativity. It's really, really cool. Like, I don't know if there's like another piece of software, there's another thing out there that's quite like this. That's where I left my helmet. And that's why I left it there. So I guess maybe to put everything together for like my whole video making process. So I'll set up my recording softwares, get OBS going on the side, start up my flashback recording, and then I'll run around, play some Minecraft, generate some footage, speak into my microphone, maybe hang out with some friends. The possibilities are endless. And then, I have a little system to kind of organize all the footage I get. I usually record in clips. I got a hotkey set up on my keyboard for record. So I'll do that, usually capture like a session in the evening, that sort of thing. Maybe I'll build a building, build some rocks, build a tree, and then, once the gaming's complete, the work has just begun. After that, they will get put into Premiere. They will have all of the necessary effects placed on them, and then, they get cut and arranged accordingly. I leave little. I have I alternate either like an adjustment layer or a black video as kind of a placeholder for where I mark where I want to put a time lapse or some sort of flashback clip. And then once I have all of that, I go back into Minecraft, load up my flashback recording, and then I generate the necessary flashbacks to then add to the edit. Then once those are all generated, I put them in where I have them marked. I'll add in my video transitions, make sure everything is good there, and then I get to do one of the really fun parts, which is add the music. So my go-to music has been a few like kind of synthy songs that I found in the YouTube audio library, and the very wonderful album Polygon Wonderland by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The nice thing about that album is they released it like completely public domain, so I think I'm able to use it in these videos without any issue. I have gotten like some, hey, we flagged this material as copyright, but you're cool to use it on the uploads, so I think it's fine. I just really like that band and their music, so I'm very happy to be able to use it here. Yeah, once all of the music and the flashback clips are in, then I'll typically give it a little watch through, make sure I'm happy with the result, and then export and upload. And that's the abridged process. So, I guess future me, hello if you're watching this. Um, don't judge me too harshly, please. I'm still learning. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So hopefully this will be helpful to you, and good luck on all of your future video editing endeavors. Now, that should be all of the technical stuff that I wanted to ramble about. Which means I can now do a tiny, tiny bit of redstone. So this is going to be a very, very subtle vibe thing. This is your reward for putting up with my ramblings. Okay, so that's what this looks like. Oh, this is actually cool. Okay, quick little sidebar. So I have a connected textures mod, which doesn't appear to actually it does it through a resource pack, so mod and resource pack built into mod. It's mod's called continuity. I did some playing on 1.21.4, and that seems to have reset some of my preferences. And one of those is the continuity resource pack, which means that, you know, my textures aren't connected right now. But I actually haven't seen how this looks without connected textures, and I think this is a good opportunity to just like see how I feel about this, because this is how, you know, this is what this looks like in pure vanilla. So I do want to just take a quick look at this and see, because that is like a little something that I try to keep in mind while I'm building is I like the idea of all of my builds looking good in just a pure vanilla client. So I will sleep and teleport back. I love connected textures, but oh, good lord. The roses are pointy. Do not run into them. Oh god. Yeah, so I think the other thing that continuity does is removes this like line between the normal sandstone. Okay. I was actually a little curious to see what these would look like. And this too, so actually no, that looks, I don't think any of these get connected through continuity. So that's the same. Okay. I think that looks fine. This is a good little exercise. Yeah, okay. But now, options, I think. Resource packs. Oh. Fresh animations wasn't even loaded. Holy moly. Oh, and look at that. I love connected textures. I know it's not vanilla. It's not the vanilla aesthetic, but oh my god. It looks so much better, especially once you get glass into the mix. Okay. Back to your regularly scheduled redstone on your building channel. Okay. So what I want to do is this crafter here is okay. So if I put this here. Oh, nuts. Spaghetti time. So I think what we want to do then is this is the iconic redstone block. Do that. And then do that, and then that. Oh. Interesting. Okay. So I think this should work. So now we're just going to wait for this to cool down. So what's the idea with this? When you power a crafter, those light up. These little corners here. So, actually here, we can test with the redstone torch. Yeah. So I believe this works the way I think it does. The armor stand, when you like stand on redstone, it lights up, changes state, and you know, that can be detected by the observer, and then that will make that blink a little bit. It might be, oh, you know what? I do want to extend this a little bit. Because I think it's going to blink too fast. Okay, that seems like a respectable blink. And I believe if we have the armor stand on top, that will repeatedly cause us to go off. And so then this will blink occasionally. So yeah, we'll see. Now I'm just going to stand here and wait. Yes! Look at that. Okay. Then, I want to just check. Yeah, so that's still emitting the particles, which means it's, like, active. So yeah. So it's going to be super subtle. But that'll just blink every once in a while. And just add that little extra bit of life to it. That's so cool. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to try and incorporate that sort of thing into this. That sort of thing into this sort of thing. Oh, that's cool. That makes it feel like such a much more of a weird little machine. Ah, sick. Okay. Thankfully, I think this is gonna be a much shorter episode because I actually have a lot of editing to do for this one. So I think this is gonna be the end of the episode for today. I hope it was enjoyable. I really hope it was. I guess it's really all gonna come down to my editing. Uh, if you made it to the end and you found this interesting, thanks a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Especially appreciate you watching all the way to the end. This is your little treat, blinky lights. Um, I guess I'll catch you next week. See ya.